and welcome to everyone. It's wonderful to see such a good crowd here tonight. But we didn't really plan so well for such a big crowd. So there are still seats down here in front. It would be good if you could come more forward. We only have one microphone, so we will pass it around. And if you want to speak, you'll have to either stand up and have, if you can't get up to the front, then maybe this can be brought to you. But you'll have to all speak with this microphone.
I don't need a mic. Can we just try to go first?
No, we cannot. This is going to be run like a town meeting. Okay, let me explain what's happening tonight, okay? It's just one article that we're voting on. And it's a revote of Article 17, and the original vote was held at town meeting, and there was an amendment to the budget that was passed at town meeting. We're going back to the original amount that was in Article 17, which is $1,874,000 and $874,087, right? It's on your pink slip. That was what the select board put in the annual report. So we will be voting on, right, which was an amount that supported Golden Cross as the new ambulance service in Putney. So at that meeting, $22,000 was added as an amendment to the budget to support continuing with rescue as the ambulance service. It actually would cost an additional $22,321.50 to switch to rescue, so that's the amount that if anyone wants to make an amendment tonight, is the amount that should be requested to be added to the budget. So if no one offers an amendment, we will simply vote on the original budget, but I don't think that's going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it. We're going to run as we do in town meeting. Move the motion, second it, open for discussion. An amendment can be proposed, and then that can be discussed. We will have probably a paper ballot on the amendment. I think that's where the issue is going to be. So you all have paper ballots, and when the time comes, there are two ballot boxes. This one over here doesn't really look like a ballot box. So this side can go to that green chair, and this side can go to this green chair, and deposit your ballots. And our JPs who are here, I think, and at least Eva's here, we'll count the vote, and we will proceed from there. Okay, and we have the select board here?
There has to be a request for it.
Yes, I can request it, actually, if there's no objection. Okay. So let's begin.
We have to invite Cynthia.
I thought I opened the meeting.
Invite Cynthia.
I think you
Just
tried.
waiting for my invitation.
Oh, sorry, Cynthia Stoddard. If there's no objection, I would like to invite Town Manager Cynthia Stoddard to join the Select Board at the table. Okay, so this meeting is hereby open half an hour late. We're here to act upon the following article. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate an amount of money necessary to defray its expenses and liabilities for the ensuing fiscal year, July 1, 2014 to June 30, 2015, and if so, how much?
I'd like to make a motion that the town vote to raise and appropriate an amount of money necessary to defray its expenses and liabilities for the ensuing fiscal year, July 1, 2014 to June 30, 2015, in the amount of $1,874,087.
Is there a second? I saw a hand back there. Ian Gillespie, second the motion. Okay, so now we are voting. It's open for discussion. I think I don't need to read that article. So we're open for discussion. And I will do my best to acknowledge hands as I see them, but if I miss your hand, just keep raising it or stand up. Okay, Maggie Cassidy.
Watch out in front of the speaker with the mic.
I move to amend the budget by adding the amount of $22,321.50 in order to finance retaining rescue as the town's ambulance service.
Okay, is there a second for that amendment? Mary, I saw your hand go up. So Mary Zabriskie. All right, the amendment is now on the table and is open for discussion. Okay, here. This is going to be a little bit time.
My name's Leonard Howard, and I was referred to as in one of the letters in the paper as the Brattleboro firefighter. As you know, I work with rescue very closely, and my question, first of all, I want people to understand that when you have a medical call in Putney, whether it's Rescue Inc. or Golden Cross coming, the fire department has a 5-minute response time to your residents. They're the people that are going to have 95% of you taken care of by the time the ambulance gets there. They're going to load you into the ambulance is going to take you to the hospital. So I reassure you that you're not going to get your care isn't going to be any worse than what it is now. It's going to stay the same. You're going to have the same people there within 5 minutes. My other question is for rescue. At town meeting, we were told in 10 years, Golden Cross has served Rockingham and Westminster, and their assessment to those towns hasn't gone up in 10 years. In Putney, rescue's assessment's gone up 400%. Why? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
If there's no objection, I would like to invite Drew Hazelton to the floor to answer that question. Any objection? Okay. Do you want to tell us who you are?
My name is Drew Hazelton. I'm the Chief of Operations for Rescue Inc. I will address your question, Lenny. If it's all right, I'd like to just go ahead and explain a little bit about Rescue before I answer that question. Rescue Inc. is a community nonprofit. It's a collaborative of 15 towns. Rescue was formed in 1966 and has been serving Putney for 48 years. So the question as to where Rescue is or who Rescue is what I keep getting asked, or why should Putney retain Rescue as its ambulance service provider. As part of the collaboration that we have at Rescue Inc., the organization is in fact controlled by our member towns. Every town gets to appoint a representative to the board of directors. Those representatives set the service levels, they set the staffing levels, they set the expectations, as well as the assessments to the town. Those decisions are made by you. Those decisions are made by the representatives that the select boards appoint to our board of directors. Over the years, Rescue has had boards of directors that have established very high service levels. They provide paramedic coverage, and I would challenge Lenny to say that Putney Fire is an excellent first response squad. They do not provide paramedic level first response at the scene. So they do an incredible job responding, and yes, within 5 minutes, they're most definitely the first ones that get there. But in the back of the ambulance, once the paramedics do arrive, there's a lot more interventions, medications, and advanced procedures that are done. Rescue's got a very long track record of excellent service. We've listened now for 5 months. Well, the select boards acknowledge that, the fire chiefs acknowledge that, and pretty much every physician living in the town of Putney has stood in front of this body and explained about the excellent service they've received from Rescue Inc. Questions as to why our assessment is higher. That's a question I've received now, I think, at least 5 or 6 consecutive meetings. And the answer to that is the services are different. Rescue provides a different level of service than Golden Cross does. You look at your pink sheet, it says you're looking for 1 ambulance. Rescue cannot provide a quote to the town of Putney for 1 ambulance. As a community collaborative, the service level is set by all 15 towns, not an individual town. We cannot have 2 ambulances available for Dummerston, but only have 1 ambulance available for Putney. So the time for those conversations as to whether you want a service with 1 ambulance, 2 ambulances, whether you want a paramedic level service or not, when you're part of a collaborative like Rescue, is at the board table with the representatives that you appoint. This year was no different than any of the other 48 years that Rescue's been serving Putney, where the board set the assessment early in the season. We do that in September or October to try to get those assessments out so the board, select boards have time to see that and incorporate it into their budget. It's unfortunate this year, Putney does not currently have a representative sitting on Rescue Inc.'s board of directors. If we had had a board member sitting on the as a representative for Rescue, and there was a concern about the cost, which is important to understand, is level funded. Rescue did not increase its assessment in 2014-2015. If we had had a representative on it, the time for that discussion would have been in September and October at our board meetings. And should this vote go in favor of Putney staying with Rescue as a service provider, I would encourage you to get a board member sitting on our board and bring that conversation at our September meeting. On Tuesday night, our board voted to establish that as a hard date so that I could bring it to you tonight and let you know that that is when we're going to have the conversation, is at our September board meeting, which will be the 3rd Tuesday of September, so that we can discuss that very question. What is the service level? What is the cost? And what is the assessment? Some of the services that Rescue provides help to ensure access to emergency services for everybody in our community. As a community collaborative and nonprofit, we provide subscription services so that our low-income families and seniors have a way to make sure that their medical bills don't get too high when they call an ambulance. We also provide a charitable care program. And yes, your dollars, your tax dollars, subsidize these programs. Our charitable care program is a sliding scale of fees. If you need an ambulance and you cannot afford that ambulance, based on your income, those fees can be adjusted. If you're a subscriber, our subscription program is currently open. You can purchase a subscription. It's $50 for everyone that lives in your household. For 12 months, that covers any portion of an ambulance bill that your insurance doesn't cover. That's peace of mind to about 2,500 families in our 15 communities every year. That program is just opening. If anybody is interested, certainly you can look it on our website. I'll be glad to talk about that program. Why has our price gone up? Our price has gone up because disposable medical supplies have gone up. Our price has gone up because, in case you didn't see the paper this morning, the amount of low-income people living in Windham County, the percentage, I believe, I can ask, is 8% increase from your website, has almost doubled where it was 10 years ago. Windham County has a huge population of low-income people that, in fact, utilize our subscription and charitable care programs. That money comes from our town subsidies. Did I answer your question, Len?
No, you told me at one of the selectmen board meetings that you bought some new equipment, which in turn, I did some research and found out actually that the inmates bought the equipment, so.
Which equipment are you speaking of, Lenny?
I think you talked about some oxygen resuscitation.
You know,
I think if you're going to,
can't have
they had
dialogue.
a two-way
Town
conversation.
meeting.
It was kind of a meeting. Yeah, okay. Actually, we're going to run this the way we run town meeting, which is that everybody gets a chance to speak who wants to speak before somebody gets a second chance to speak. That's the Robert Rules of Order for town meeting, and we should follow those rules tonight. Okay, thank you. So, any other questions, comments? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Edward Bookwalter. I'm here on behalf of my father, Dr. John Bookwalter, who asked me to relay a message this evening. Since he heard about this transition or the proposal for a transition, he has been asking around BMH to his colleagues, staff members, other physicians. He has been unable to find a single person there that is in favor of Putney switching to a for-profit organization over rescue. And if we were to do that, he feels it would be like contracting with Brattleboro or Springfield Fire Department for just a little bit less money. Just doesn't make that much sense. They've done nothing wrong by us. I've had several occasions that I've needed help and they've been there. Bam, bam, everything's been perfect. If it's not broke, don't fix it, yeah? So in conclusion, we believe that Putney should continue to contract with Rescue Inc. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Yes, Louise.
Do I have?
Yes, come and use the microphone and hold it close to your mouth.
Louise Garfield. I didn't have a chance to look in my town report, but if somebody can share the figure of what
Keep it close to your mouth.
what the assessment is if the other service is chosen, what that amount is. In other words, I want to see the total. If we went with rescue of what's put.
Hold on.
The total for ambulance service in Putney. That would be it?
No.
No, that's the whole budget.
You want to know what Golden
Okay.
Cross contract is versus rescue?
The total amount, if it were to, the cost of a Golden Cross contract for a year is $36,447. The total cost for Rescue Inc. would be, if we added the 22,321 to that, which would be $58,769. It represents roughly a 40% increase in the assessment. The other thing that I want to comment on that there has not been clear in various ways that it's been expressed, but is the amount of money that it costs taxpayers in Putney. The change of this amount on your tax bill represents approximately a 1 cent increase basically a 1% increase in the tax bill, which represents a $10 per year increase for every $100,000 of tax of appraised value of your property. So if you live in a $200,000 property, it will cost you $20 more per year to add this. And there was information in the letter to the editor that said that it was between $1.50 and $5 a person. That's incorrect. Even if you were to take it and average it so that you just took the number of Putney residents and divided it by the amount that it costs, it would be about $8 per head. So depending on how you look at it, that's two different ways of thinking about it.
My name's Rebecca Coffey. I just want to know if the other service would provide, being profit-making, would provide the same subscription with charity services. What would happen if someone without money called an ambulance?
Do you want? You can because we asked.
Yeah, that question was answered by Dale Gerard, who was here at town meeting, was unable to be here tonight, but is the CEO of Golden Cross. But they do not provide charitable and or subscription service. They do, however, respond to all calls and transport accordingly, regardless of ability to pay. The difference, I think, and I can't tell you 100%, but is that Rescue Inc. charges, you pay for a subscription at Rescue Inc., and then you get services for X amount of transports per year with no cost, and then any additional transports beyond that you pay at market value. Is that correct? But is that a yes or a no?
Similar to that, yeah.
Okay. If you don't have the ability to pay, i.e. you can't afford it at all, you're on disability, however that might be the case, then it would be paid for the same. I mean, basically the hospital and or the ambulance service are going to try and collect that money to whatever ability they have, but otherwise it's uncollected as a loss, which is true, I think, for rescue also. If you don't have a subscription service and you don't have the ability to pay, I'm assuming it would be the same route of collection, basically.
Can I speak to that? Or?
Briefly.
Sorry. The major difference is we don't take people that don't have the ability to pay and send them off for harassing collection phone calls. It's very simple for rescue to provide charitable care. We have a sliding scale based on your income. It's a very simple process. You contact our office, they get you the paperwork, and our goal as your ambulance service is not to bankrupt you, not to make it so you can't afford your food bills. So we're willing to help you out, and it's a very easy process to get charitable care, and those bills get instantly reduced for you.
I think that it would be unfair to say that Golden Cross does bankrupt your family or anybody else. That's not what they're interested in doing. Yes, they're a for-profit business. There are many good for-profit businesses. There are many bad not-for-profit businesses, and to represent it any other way, I think, is inappropriate. I think that Golden Cross is willing and able to work with people to the extent that they can. Yes, they're going to try and recoup their bills because they're a business, but that's the nature of business. So, but they're honest and reputable people. They are not in this to go out looking to break legs. I mean.
Yes, Bob?
I'm Robert Nassau, a pediatrician. Lived in Putney since 1971, practiced in Brattleboro for about 35 years. And first I have a question. Is there anybody here representing Golden Cross?
No.
No. So to me, this is the first time that Putney put in a call to Golden Cross, and it looks like they didn't show up. So I think I don't know what that means, but
yeah, let's try and keep it to fact. Comment is okay, but let's not be unrealistic. I mean,
okay. Well, a second comment is that I don't think it's the role of the select board to be explaining what Golden Cross does. That's the role of Golden Cross. We have several people from Rescue here to answer all of our questions. And I think if there's a question that Rescue can answer, that's fine. And if Golden Cross is not here to answer, that's their problem. So over the years, I've had a fair amount of experience with Rescue. One of the things that's impressed me is that medical care has certainly changed over 35 years. And I remember, Rescue in the old days, and there's just no comparison between what it was then and what it is now. And of course, everything is improved, but I think some of the same people who are here today have been working with Rescue for years. They're dedicated to improvement. They're dedicated to upgrading equipment. Personally, if it comes from BMH or Rescue, doesn't really matter to me. I just want to know that when I have a problem, it's being addressed by a first-class organization, and I think that's what we have, and I think that's what we should support. And one last point is that, as Drew said, they serve 15 towns. If we pull... Hello?
It just went off.
I think it went off. Okay, yeah. So rescue serves...
Hold it, turn it toward yourself.
Rescue serves 15 towns. All right, I'll do it very low. Rescue serves 15 towns. If Putney pulls out, that's going to be a big dent in their budget, I would imagine, which is going to affect their service to all the other towns. I live in Putney. Maybe I'll have my heart attack in my house. Maybe I'll be in a car accident on the way to Hannaford's. You know, there's no guarantee that you will only need ambulance service in Putney. We work in the Brattleboro area, we shop there, we go there for entertainment. That's our community. And I think it's part of being in a community that we support the organizations that deal with our entire community, somewhat out of our own enlightened self-interest, because we may need that service on Putney Road or on Route 5, and also because, personally, I think that's just the right thing to do. Thank you.
Okay, back here.
Hi, Greg Short. Couple quick questions with the doctor here talked about quick response and everything. People that have been at rescue for a long time. Seems like there's been a large turnover of people that have left Rescue Inc. And why are they losing those people? If Drew could speak about that, wages, or they're just leaving, what's the reason? Two, if we could eventually put them on the spot, have the fire chief talk, have him come to the floor, I think would be great for everybody to hear his opinion, what he recommends would be great. And to last, how many times have we waited for a doctor to call us back?
Okay, let's try and keep our comments not personal. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'll concede that. Wait, do you want to speak to his question that he asked you to respond to about why the turnover there's been, if there has been, and why?
We have had some turnover at Rescue in the last year. We've had turnover for multiple different reasons. We've had some people that have moved on for furthering their careers. Rescue has a long history of turning out medical professionals. So we have some folks that have moved on after years at Rescue that have now gone through nursing school and are moving off to become RNs. Actually, a fair chunk of the emergency room nurses started off as Rescue Inc. volunteers or paid staff. We have some that are not happy with some of the newer changes at Rescue and have decided to leave on their own. On top of that, we've retained a lot of our senior staff. Actually, the majority of our senior staff is still there. Lou Tyke, who's over here with 34 years of volunteer service. Many of you know Mark Considine, managing our quality assurance program, been there for 26 years. So we don't have a shortage of quality long-term staff.
If there's no objection, and if Tom Goddard, you're willing, I would invite you to speak to the question. Any objection?
Thank you. Oh, how's this? Good. Greg, I apologize. Was there a specific question?
Just your opinion on everything that's going on and educate the people.
Okay. Back in when we started our most recent budget cycle last year in the September timeframe, it was made very clear to all of us, the department heads and so on and so forth, that everything was on the table, everything was being looked at. Part of that included ambulance service. So at the request of the select board and the town manager, I started to look into that. And actually, no, that process actually started back in last July. So in doing that, we had some discussion, and it was made pretty clear that instead of looking at money first, which is what we typically do, all of us, look at the money side of it last. So that's what we did. Putney, because of where we geographically lie, we're pretty fortunate as far as the ability to get emergency services into town very quickly. And that's across the board. More specifically to ambulance service, we have options in Putney. There are some towns where they might have options, but they're not as immediate as our options are, or as immediately available as our options are. Our primary option is Golden Cross. So we had some talks with Golden Cross, and I mean, obviously the entire area knows Rescue Inc., knows their capabilities, knows their service. And I had some ideas about Golden Cross. I was ignorant as to some other things. We talked and came to the fact that we're comparing a paramedic level service licensed by the state of Vermont and New Hampshire to a paramedic level service licensed by the state of Vermont and New Hampshire. Looked at staffing, looked at response times, all that stuff. So when we said, in reality, we are comparing apples to apples, we're not comparing apples to pineapples, then we took a look at the money and asked Dale for a price to serve the town of Putney, and that price came in at whatever it was. So with all things being equal, and our firm belief that with the services that are in the area, there really isn't one that is so much better than another. That would be like the fire department saying, "Oh, well, this one is so much better than that one." It's not what it's about. We all go through the same training. We all have the same certifications. We all have the same licensing requirements. And this is nothing against Rescue Inc. We've worked with Rescue Inc. for years. So my recommendation to the board was, again, all things being equal, it comes down to money, just like all the rest of us. Let's go with something a little different. That's all there was.
Okay, thank you. Honey, you Lori back there? You want to just speak loud? Well, you better come use the microphone.
Can you all hear me? Yes. I don't know.
Wait, they want you to use the microphone.
Captain Eva. So is this better? Okay.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Honey Lori, live in Putney for a long time, and I thankfully have not had to use rescue. But in this room, there are a lot of people that use rescue. And Dr. Nassau pointed out, there's nobody here that said they use Golden Cross. So I can't say that things are equal because we don't have any track record. And I can't believe they didn't even bother to come, because for me, and I am a businesswoman, and I would never cut money from something that was so essential as my health. And if they can't get it together to come here to represent themselves, how do I know they're going to get it together to get me if I'm sick? There's no track record that I know of. That's what I have to say.
Back there?
Brian Harlow. First thing I'd like to say is that I don't really have an opinion either way. Which one we take, $22,000 isn't a huge amount of money. One thing I would like to say is that very disappointed in the way that people speak about another organization, that all they're trying to do is help us. They're not better, I wouldn't say either way, but I think it's very disrespectful, and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves for speaking about somebody like that. The last time they were down here, all they did was run them in the dirt, and I really can't blame them for not showing up this time. I wouldn't want to be running the dirt any more than, and all you're trying to do is help people. Thank you.
I can speak to that.
If there's no objection, I'd like Cynthia Stoddard simply to clarify why Golden Cross is not here tonight.
When the petition was brought into the town office, I contacted Golden Cross and Rescue to let them know when the meeting time was, and Dale hasn't taken a vacation. He had a vacation plan for the last year this night. That's why he couldn't be here. And he didn't feel, I guess he didn't feel like he wanted to send somebody in his place. He was a little uncomfortable with town meetings, so he felt his feeling on this is, the feeling that I got from him is that he is there if we need him. If he doesn't get the contract, he'll be there in a year from now if we need him, or if we don't, that's fine. They're part of the mutual aid system. They will be there as our second ambulance if we're needed. He didn't come after the town of Putney for the contract. We asked him, so I think it's not, I don't want to say it's not a big deal if he doesn't get it. It's not what his primary focus was, but he has the ability to service Putney and will do it if it's the will of the people. But he wasn't willing to come down and fight for it. He wants you guys to make up a decision based on facts, and he feels like he has a good service, and he had a vacation planned. That's why he's not here.
Okay, Diane?
Just a small point, but an important one. I am concerned that no one from Golden Cross could come to answer some of our questions. I think it's very much too bad.
Yes,
my name is Bert Tepfer. I'm a physician. I've been here in Putney for 30 years and worked closely with Rescue over that time. I'd like to point out that there's been no question about the competency of Rescue ever raised here, and that the services they provided have been excellent, in my professional opinion. I would also like to say that I don't agree that these are apples and apple choices. I don't see it that way at all. If you've been to the Rescue or been by Rescue, you know that they have a large facility with multiple ambulances, multiple crews, multiple levels of excellently trained personnel, and they're all there ready to go for the appropriate level of response to your problem. I cannot imagine that a single ambulance based in Westminster can provide that flexibility and depth of experience that we have at Rescue. I do not feel these are apples and apples, I'm sorry. I would also like to point out that, as Bob Nassau did, that if we pull out of Rescue, it does weaken the entire system for the county. There are many things that Rescue provides that other ambulance services don't. They have many special crews, deep water, underwater rescue. There's several different rescue special teams that they train and continue to have available to us all. If we dilute the financial security of Rescue, we are endangering our own health in a lot of different ways. Not only the way that Dr. Nassau talked about we need Rescue if we're in Brattleboro and have a problem. So we can't really pull out and undermine Rescue without any consequences to ourselves.
Question?
Okay, Eva, yes, you've been raising your hand.
Eva Munden, and I'm standing pretty close to you. I took a shower today. I want to thank the select board and the town manager. They do a great job, and I know it's difficult when somebody's not here. Josh is a fair-minded man, and I appreciate you saying what you said, and thank you for all of you. I know.
Scott and Steve are fair-minded too.
They know I know that. They know I know that. And Bert, I used to volunteer with Rescue. I volunteered with you, Lou, years ago. Tony Coleman and myself, he talked me into it. And by God, we were on a call when Bert Tedford jumped in the back of the ambulance because it was his neighbor who had the heart attack. So you may worry about doctors not calling you back, but at the scene, and Bookwalter, your dad, I remember him helping out. So it's not about them or us here. It's about all of us. We're in it together. And what I'd like to see is that we go with Rescue this year and that we call upon the select board to do what they did for us in the past. Remember when we needed a new fire station? What did they do? They negotiated with Landmark, Greenwood School. I'm pretty sure that the grammar school kicked in. And they came up with a plan. And you know and I know, Landmark, what's there, 500 students there? Greenwood School, you know, we've got a lot going on here. They're not here tonight. They're not registered voters, and we can benefit from negotiating with them, and that's what I'd like to see. And we failed ourselves. We did not have a representative on that rescue board. We ought to be embarrassed. I don't feel well enough to do it, but some of you whippersnappers, there's one in the back here that's really smart, and he'd be good on the board. But we've got to step forward. So we fail ourselves. I'd like to see you boys do it, and the women, folks, you boys and the women, and you all negotiate. And I know that our new town manager could negotiate with those private schools. So let's think about positive. Don't abandon the ship, because I'm not planning on having a heart attack, Bob, but I'll tell you this, there might be some other reason they're going to rush me to the retreat. But let me tell you, it might be you all too.
Okay. You want to call the question next? Okay, we have a motion to call the question. Is there a second? Okay, Abijah Reed, second. Okay, we'll have a vote on calling the question. All those in favor of calling the question, which means what? Which means, if we call the question, we're simply stopping discussion and we're going to take a vote on this amendment as it's on the table. So all those in favor of calling the question at this time, please raise your hand. I would say that there's a majority, which is what we need. Okay, so that means we are ready to vote on the amendment, which is on the table, which I will read. Okay, the amendment is, did we get the exact language of it? Anyway, to add the amount of $22,321.50 to the town budget for the purpose of maintaining rescue as our ambulance service. And I am going to, if there's no objection, I'm going to request that we have a paper ballot, so there's no question about how this vote goes. And you all, is there any objection to having a paper ballot? Okay. Okay, wait, I'm getting there. Just want to make sure it's okay to have it. Okay. So you all have a piece of paper. If you vote yes on your purple piece of paper, you are voting to accept the amendment, which is adding the extra funds to use rescue as our ambulance service. If you vote no on your paper ballot, you are voting to defeat the amendment, which means that we would return to the original amount that was moved, and that really essentially means maintaining Golden Cross, or switching to Golden Cross as the ambulance service. So please mark your ballots, and then we have 2 ballot boxes here. I suggest this side of the room come up and use this this plastic box here. And if you need a pencil, there are pencils at the front of the room here.
Well, I'll hand them out. So
and there's a ballot box on this chair here.
You need one?
Okay, we have the results of the vote, so if you could retake your seats and stop talking, that would be helpful. Stop talking. And we can proceed with the second vote as soon as everybody is back to attention. Okay, here it is, the result. Oh, yeah, we'll work on it. Okay, the result of the vote is no, that means to defeat the amendment, 33. Yes, to accept the amendment, 141. So clearly that passes. Okay, so now you have to proceed to vote on the amended article.
There should be option for more discussion too. Hate to say it.
Okay, so now we're back to, we're now, I don't think so.
Yes, we're considering the whole budget.
We need to move.
Okay, we have a new, we're going to move the amended article.
So now the article that is on the table, I think it would be referred to as an article, but the motion that I'm going to put on the table is to see if the town of Putney will vote to raise and appropriate an amount of money necessary to defray its expenses and liabilities for the ensuing fiscal year, July 1, 2014 through June 30, 2015, in the amount of $1,896,408.50, which that includes the $22,321.50 for the increase of the amendment.
Is there a second for this, Eva? Second. All right, I guess this is up for discussion, or we can proceed to a vote. If there's no discussion, seeing none? Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to the vote. Okay, I think we will just do this as a hand-raised vote, unless there's any objection.
Can't hear you.
Okay. We are now going to vote on the motion just read by Josh Laughlin. The new amount, $1,896,408.50. Okay. All those in favor of accepting this budget, please raise your hands. Woo. Okay. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The article is passed as amended. Congratulations.
Just to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm really very pleased at the numbers that have shown up. This is how we get things done. You know, we show up with 300 people instead of, or 150 instead of 80. More voices are heard, the better off we are. Also, we really need a... Closer? All right. We really do need a representative for rescue. We also have several other positions open. Again, please, someone step forward and be on the rescue board for Putney. Please seek to Cynthia, and love to have you on. All right.
There is actually a second article for this meeting, which is Article 2, to transact any other business that may legally come before the special town meeting, which means it will be something non-binding. Is there any other business anyone wants to bring? Eva. You can count on her.
I really want to thank the First Response Squad of Putney and the Fire Department. Let's hear it for them.
Any other business? All right. I call this meeting adjourned.